Hello. Hey guys. Welcome back to the podcast. You are listening to Angel Face Magic Hour. And I am here, your host, Grace Lannon. I'm an energy healer, a psychic medium, and the host of this amazing podcast that you love so dearly and so much that you love to give 5 stars and you love to give reviews to. I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight. It is a full moon in Leo, and we are here for our first full moon forecast of 2024. This is also our first full moon forecast of the podcast ever because this is a new endeavor. In case you missed our last episode, we started this new thing. We're going to be doing full moon and new moon forecasts, little energy readings. What's going on? How are we feeling? Any like messages from spirit that can be supportive. So we did our first one last couple weeks ago on the new moon, 11/11, and today is Thursday, January 25th. It is 7:59 p.m. PST, and we are here in 2024. My intention every time I do these episodes and anything I do in terms of an energetic reading is that the message is going to be applicable, however you say that word, for you whenever you come across this. So, the full moon energy radiates and we can feel that for a few days before and a few days after. So if you're not listening to this when the podcast airs, and it's going to be late when the podcast airs anyway, because I'm just recording this at 8 p.m. But that's when the message wanted to come through. And also I was teaching Reiki today, Reiki Master. And then I did a podcast with Giselle that I'm very excited. Siete Mas. It's going to come out in a few weeks. And I'm very excited about that. But yeah, we've been talking, we've been vibing, and we've been activating the energy in this room. So it's quite potent energy flowing through right now. So now is the time to record the episode. But anyway, if you can't tune into this in this exact moment and you hear this episode later, the message is still open for you. So just allow this to bring in some reflections for you. Allow this to bring in some guidance from spirit for you. And whenever you come across this video or this recording, audio podcast, give it a listen and see what spirit wants to say. So last time we did a card reading, I wanted to do the same here tonight. We'll pull a few cards and I just want to check in with the energy. But in case anyone, I just wanted to share a little funny story. In case anyone didn't listen to last episode, one of the things that Spirit suggested for us that would be helpful in the new moon to just like move some energy was cleaning. And specifically, they brought up the message of cleaning our car. And I said on the episode, yes, I'm going to go clean my car in the next few days. And I had every intention to. I had every intention to clean my car. But I didn't. I did not. And then I was driving in my car and I got an iced coffee and I had it in my lap and I was about to put it in my cup holder. You can see where this is going. And I spilled this large iced coffee with milk everywhere on the bottom of my car. And it now smells like horrible rotten milk. So the moral of that story is listen to the messages when they come through. It might seem silly, but it can be like frustrating when little things like that come up. Like, yeah, I can get the smell out and I have cleaned it. And I don't know why it still smells. I have to get to the bottom of it. But that's your reminder. Like just when you get an intuitive like knowing or sense or feeling, like just try to listen to it and see what happens. I think usually when we ignore these nudges from our intuition, from ourself, little annoyances and things like that can show up because it's almost like, are we really listening to ourselves? Are we really showing up for our selves in integrity? And that was just like my reminder. And like, sometimes annoying things just happen for no reason. But I think it's just like funny when those things come up and we have to be reminded in that external way. So this is your reminder listen to your intuition, listen to your body, listen to your knowing. And if like things come up, things come up. So we are in a full moon in Leo. What do we know about Leo? Leo is like a bright, fiery energy. Leo likes to be seen. Leo likes to be known. Leo likes to be celebrated. Leo is that hot summer energy. So July, August. Leo is that energy that is like very I would say a celebrity kind of energy like that. And what I mean by that is being celebrated, like, and that is something that spirit wants us to allow ourselves to focus on in the next few days throughout this Leo moon, to celebrate how far we have come. And that came up the other day. I did a little reading. I pulled a card for myself and posted on Instagram. And the message was really about like, look how far you have come, and to slow down to actually celebrate yourself. I think that came up in another reading I did too. So clearly I'm needing to get this message. Also, Leo can be about excess. If you're not watching the video and you're just listening, I have a water, a coffee at 8 p.m., and a strawberry agua fresca. So Leo can also be about excess. So that can be like beautiful when we have just that abundance, we have excess of things, we have enough to share. But it's like, are you sharing, or are you just hoarding? You have an excess of everything, an excess of access, and excess, and that can lead to like imbalances. Of course, we see that in the greater society. Like some people have $1 billion and most people have $2. So it's like, these things can show up in a negative way, but there's also the power in that excess and that access, and being able to again tune into how powerful we truly are. But the power comes from within, not without. So we did talk about releasing the fear of power in the last episode, in the last reading. And it's interesting because once I open up the channel, I get the reminders like, oh yeah, you said this. Oh yeah, this came through, because I don't always remember everything that a channel's through, because otherwise it would be too much to know all the time. But this message has been coming up of like releasing the fear from the past of when we did have access to these powers, and being reminded that it is important for us to honor how strong we are, how powerful we are, but also allow ourselves to be relaxed enough, rested enough, soft enough, at peace enough to actually receive the benefits of that, to have enough to share with others, to have all that access to all of who you are, so that you can actually utilize that to help yourself, help others, help the world, the earth, the planet, cosmos, etc., etc., etc. Whatever you're here for, we're all different. We have all of our different experiences. And also, I just wanted to side note, these energies wanted to make themselves known. So I brought some crystals here with us tonight. We had these out for the last podcast, and they also want to bring their awareness here. So perhaps if you are a crystal freak, a crystal lover like myself, maybe you want to connect to these energies right now. So we have this clear quartz crystal. We have another quartz crystal. This one has a heat blue, like aquamarine color to it. This is not natural, but it's still beautiful. Well, the quartz is natural, the color's not. If you're not watching the video, it's like a bright cerulean group color. And we have a labradorite. So Labradorite is, this magician energy. Anything is possible, being able to transform. I think also of like that peacock energy of like using that beauty to expand. So, things are very dark. So it's important to be reminded that the light is always shining through. So when you hold a Labradorite or any kind of crystal with a little flashy color to it, when you hold in your hand, it just looks kind of muddy. You don't really see much. It just looks dark. But then if you shine it in the light or around the light, you see the infinite possibilities. So that, I think, is just like a metaphor of what we are experiencing. So being reminded that shine the light on yourself, shine the light on the world around you, and stay in your joy. It is okay for you to be joyful. And also allow yourself to experience the spectrum of emotions. So when you do feel sadness and pain, I don't want you, I as Grace, of course, but I as the greater I, as we and the guides, we don't want you to feel guilt for any of your emotions, whether that is a positive or a negative emotion. So it's really about detaching the story that the emotion holds within us and just acknowledging it as almost like a function of our body. This is random. I don't know why they're saying it like this, but this makes a lot of sense to me. So I hope it makes sense to you. But instead of like when you're sad, you're like, oh, I'm this horrible fucking piece of shit. I'm so sad. Why am I sad? I'm such a lame loser. La la la. Those stories that you tell yourself about yourself. Instead of that, it's just like, oh, I'm sad. This is just the experience I'm having in this moment. So like having to pee or your skin is itchy, like sometimes these things just come up and they're like a normal function of our body. So being sad is a normal function of society when things are sad, you know? So allow yourself to actually feel that instead of pushing it away, because that's healthy and normal to have a reaction to the external experiences. If you're in a constant state of sadness, like a depression, of course, this is more abnormal. Like we don't want you to feel this way. So this might be something you need to investigate to see how you can bring healing into your body and into your mind so that you're not in that consistent state of illness. And, sometimes things like depression, anxiety are lifelong. Like and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just finding ways for your mind to manage it. And sometimes that is therapy and medication. Sometimes that's energy healing. Sometimes that's float therapy. It could be anything like that works for you, but like trying to actually seek the assistance that you need. So Spirit says being open to trying new things and being open to trying multiple things at one time. If you're the type of person that only takes herbs, like sometimes you have to like take a medication. If you're the type of person that only takes medication, sometimes maybe you need to try energy healing. Like it's multiple approaches can be very helpful. And also going back to the body, are we in a constant state of anxiety because the world is in a constant state of anxiety? Are we picking up on everyone else's feelings, or this is how we actually feel? So beginning your journey, if you haven't already, and of course if you're listening to this podcast, you probably already have begun this journey of beginning this journey to decipher what is intuition, what is anxiety, what is someone else's feelings, what is my own, what are my boundaries, what is my aura, what is my energy, like these layers of ourself of what's going on, how can I decipher the world around me. Also, I am going to send a text to my sibling because I'm recording and they're coming home and I don't want them to be mad. They just went to meditation class, which makes me very happy because they're getting into meditation. So I love it. Whole family of meditators. Let's go. And yeah, so I wanted to read some cards. That's just some of the energy that Spirit wants us to focus on in right now. But Leo, yeah, can be about excess. So how can we have that in a way of positivity, of an overflow, an abundance, allowing yourself to have more and not just what you need, you're allowed to have more than what you need, and you're allowed to share, and you're allowed to explore yourself. You're allowed to take time for yourself. So Leo doesn't have any shame in that. They want to pay attention to themselves, and not in a negative way at all, in a very positive way. But they want to shine the light of the world through their heart. And so that is the energy that's coming through right now. I also just burped, which usually is like when energy is moving through the throat. And a lot of stuff that's been coming up in readings and for the past couple of days is collectively us opening up this heart so that the energy can continue to flow out our throat and clear some of the energy that is stuck in our throat that allows us to feel disconnected from ourselves and the world around us, and like doing what we say. Oftentimes when we talk, it might just be like false promises. So this full moon is really about like coming to a conclusion for yourself to know that when I say something, I'm actually going to show up and do it, rather than continuing to tell yourself things and not showing up for yourself the way that you want to. And also, at the same time, we have to continue to release this pressure on ourselves. So instead of creeping up with these false promises, why don't we just say what we actually want and not over exert yourself and not over like extend yourself, and not get into the excessiveness in that negative way of always excessively sending out your energy to everyone besides yourself. And there is like a stream of energy just going outwards where you feel drained. So those are some messages from spirit. Also, if you're watching the video, look at these. If you're not watching the video, this is a bag of mini aliens. It says itty bitty aliens. My mom gave me these for Christmas. I just brought them into my office, so I just had to show you. I want to pull a card from one of my favorite decks. This is called the Angels and Gemstones Oracle cards. If you have seen my readings or worked with me, whatever, you've probably seen these cards. And then I felt drawn to grab these cards, which I usually never do because this is the most freaking heavy, giant box of cards. This is like 5 pounds, I feel like. But this is called the Lemurian Star Child Oracle. And I bought it because it was so freaking beautiful, the artwork. But yeah, these are extremely heavy. And I just felt called to pull cards from both of those energies. And, you know, the Leo, that's connected to that Lyran energy. So that is like the star being type of energy that is connected more to the feline, the lion, the goddess, Sekhmet, and like these energies that are these fiery energies. And also with that, it's also being able to tune into your ability to like see through dimensions. So that can be like so crazy and esoteric, but we can bring that simply back to like a normal human thing that we do on an everyday basis, which seeing through dimensions would be like seeing through the bullshit, like being able to see through if someone is telling you something that isn't true, being able to see the possibilities in something that someone else might not. Like you are like, oh, I could do it this way, and you have this new creative outlook. So like it can be so crazy in terms of like, oh, I'm meditating, I'm astral projecting, and I'm seeing to these dimensions and times. And like if you're into that, like you're in the right podcast place. But like it doesn't have to be so out there. It could be simple as connecting to your ability to create. And that keeps coming up. That's the message for the whole year, as we talked about on our New Year's episode, is tapping into our sacral center, our creativity. The Leo, again, is that fire, it's that carnelian energy, it's that creativity and sexuality and that flow, that feminine energy. So yeah, let's pull a card. If you're just listening, I am shuffling. We'll shuffle it up. I don't think you can even hear this on the mic, but maybe. So with these cards, they give us a crystal, and the crystal has some questions for us. What I like to do is just like journal and think about those. And if Spirit has any other messages, I'll share. And then the back of the card gives us an affirmation. And affirmations, I've probably said this on the podcast before, but yes, they can feel cheesy, but I really truly believe that they can be helpful. And it's again opening up that throat and speaking through your from your heart. And I think affirmations are a really powerful way for us to get used to saying beautiful things to ourselves and get used to being able to hear beautiful things for ourselves. So we have the hematite energy. Hematite. So this is a grounding crystal. These are like silver. They're very heavy stones. Like physically, if you hold one in your hand, they almost look like a magnet. And hematite is something that a lot of like Reiki practitioners will suggest holding or keeping on your body when you do Reiki, because it helps clear any energy from your body that's not yours. That's the intention with it. That's the idea behind it. And it helps ground your physical body, bring your energy into your physical body so that everything's down here on the earth as we transmute the energy in these higher dimensions. So hematite on a regular basis can be helpful in terms of like going out into public and just being in places where there's lots of people's energy, if that is overwhelming to you, if you consider yourself sensitive or an empath, or in general, life is just like overwhelming sometimes. So it's like sometimes a lot to have a lot of people and a lot of things. And so hematite can be a helpful crystal to keep us grounded into our body. I also like to personally use hematite if I'm doing anything, any kind of magic or healing or working with like abundance and money. Abundance and money came up in the last episode, and this is really like the message that keeps coming through of like imagining creative new ways of earning. And it doesn't have to be so hard. It doesn't have to be so hard. And it's going to take a lot of rewiring, reframing within our mind for us to actually accept that because it can be so hard to trust that it doesn't have to be hard if it's been hard forever. For you, for your ancestors, for the people around you, for society, like it's hard to convince people of like a new possibility when we can't even imagine what that looks like. So I think the first thing we need to do is work on our inner mind. So anytime I like to do like abundant stuff, I love to use like pyrite, hematite, what else? Clear quartz is a great one for anything. Smoky quartz. I'm a big quartz head. But yeah, hematite. So these are some of the questions that you can think about. If you want to journal about them, you can. If you just want to think about it, you can. If you just want to listen to this podcast and keep it pushing, you can also do that too. But I encourage you to take some time to reflect on these messages. So, is your mind on overdrive? Are you feeling physically hyperactive? Personally, you guys, I am. Like last night, I was up super late. The last 2 nights, I was up super late. No, since Monday. So today is Thursday. Since Monday, I've been having like a lot of insomnia and up super late and feeling hyper and like dancing like really fast and like just like feeling really high energy over inside my body. So perhaps you're feeling that same way. Have you been sleeping well? Personally, not well. When I actually sleep, I have been sleeping well, but again, been up late. It's important to be more grounded. Imagine roots growing through the soles of your feet into the earth. Allow disquieting thoughts and excess energy to drain away. Excess, the word. Energy that's not yours, energy you no longer need. Allow it to drain out of your body and be released into the earth to be recycled and renewed. It doesn't have to be in your body anymore. You don't have to hold it. So that's a reminder, is you don't have to hold everything. And two things. When I first got into all of this spiritual work and healing stuff, like the idea of grounding was very I was very averted to that, very almost disgusted by that. Like the idea of imagining roots growing through my feet, like literally was disgusting. I feel like I've talked about this on the podcast, but I'll share again because I know not everyone listens to every episode. But that was a very big jump hoop to jump over to physically be grounded in my body. And it's taken me pretty much my whole life until I think like 28, when I first started getting into the Reiki around 27, 28. I'm 33 now. That was like the first time I really felt what grounding was into my body. So for me, this exercise that was really helpful, that my mentor, my psychic mentor, like suggested to me, and I started playing around with it, and it was very helpful. When I first started, before I could even begin to try to imagine what grounding was, she would have me picture and visualize. And I'm sharing this because it might be helpful for someone. Picture and visualize myself as an ice cream cone, in the sun. And I would visualize and meditate and imagine myself beginning to melt until I eventually became a puddle and disappeared into the ground. You could also think of it as an icicle. If you don't want to be ice cream, you could be icicle and like just melt like water. But melting into the earth. And that was very, very soothing, very, very grounding, but it wasn't intimidating and scary to me because for some reason the roots, grounding myself into the earth, felt very, very scary. And through working with her, I had this very profound experience. This is Becca, who I've probably talked about in the podcast millions of times, because she's changed my life. And I continue to work with her for years now because she really helps me understand my own gifts and helped me clear so much past life stuff when we first started working together. But yeah, one thing that came up after years of working together, we finally got to this moment, like right before I was born as Grace Lannon, into my mom, Kelly Lannon, like in this life, like right before I was born, I was scared. I didn't really want to go. Like I was like down to go to Earth, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait, well, no, I don't want to go. And I pulled back. Somehow my soul, my spirit pulled back. And when I entered my physical body, I did not have my root chakra fully like set up. Like it didn't actually get set up. So when I was born, I wasn't rooted. I was like halfway out of my body. And I think, I guess, has something to do with my soul experience. And we could talk about this whole thing for like 3 hours in itself. But essentially, because I am this more cosmic energy, I was coming down to help and do things. And that's why I'm here in this world, blah, blah, blah. We can talk in details, but the important message here tonight is that it was very difficult for me to become rooted because I hadn't been rooted in the first place. So this can happen for so many different reasons. And this in birth in general is scary for both the mother birthing and the child being birthed. So, even if absolutely nothing went wrong in the birth, you could still have these weird experiences where we're not fully grounded into the body. And so it can be difficult. And I think also experiences we might have had or our ancestors might have had living in earth, living in this human body, that were painful and horrific, or any level of traumatic, little t, big T, as I say, that make it difficult for us to be in our body. So I like that melting ice cream as a beautiful place to start, to imagine, to feel grounded. And then if you're drawn to the trees and to the roots, like for now, I enjoy doing those types of meditations, but for some reason I felt averted to it in the beginning. So I just share that in case anyone has that same type of feeling, or in case you just really want to pretend to be an ice cream. But there are so many ways to become grounded and rooted in the body. And physical movement is so important. And we've been talking about that on episode after episode, but it's really important for you to move your body, dance, shake, walk, run, whatever you like, but have some kind of energy movement technique that is not just like a meditation. Like you need to like actually move the body, like move around. And so this is our affirmation. And I'll share a picture of these on Instagram. And if you want to like and YouTube with the video, but if you want to like screenshot it and use this affirmation, you're more than welcome. But you can listen to me and or you can repeat after me. So this is a message from the angel of inner peace and grounding. So repeat after me. I am calm and peaceful. All is well. That was the card that we pulled last week, actually, the all is well, or on the new moon reading. All is well. I love that. My life is good. So let's start again because I got distracted. Okay. Sorry, guys. Take two. I am calm and peaceful. All is well. My life is good. My roots absorb goodness from the all-giving earth, which fills me up and brings me serenity. I am love, and all that surrounds me, and all that is attracted to me is love. One more time. I am calm and peaceful. All is well. My life is good. My roots absorb goodness from the all-giving earth, which fills me up and brings me serenity. I am love, and all that surrounds me and all that is attracted to me is love. Beautiful. I love that. Hematite energy coming in hot. So we're going to pull one more card before we close out today's reading for the full moon in Leo, January 25th, 2024. So this is the Lemurian. Oh my God, this deck is so crazy, guys. It's huge. So if you don't know what Lemuria is a story, a myth, a legend, and if you subscribe to it, a place in time, a point in time, a memory. So the story of Lemuria is that before the time that we were in now, we existed at other points in human history. So there are memories and stories from places such as Lemuria, Avalon, Mu, What else is there? Atlantis. There's all these stories and these legends about our human existence, Agartha, Shambhala, throughout time. And Lemuria specifically is connected a lot to this water energy, to this energy of us almost as kind of like mermaids, but not exactly like, but we're almost this hybrid kind of fish, jellyfish, human. Like we weren't like the humans that you and I look like per se, but at the same time, we were very much connected to the energies of the water. So being able to transmute and bring healing to each other through water. And if you ever worked with Reiki, you can know that you can bring water into Reiki into your water and activate the water. So we were doing things like that. There's a lot of this priestess culture in the Lemurian times. So it was more of a matriarchal society. These are just the stories, you know. Everyone has their own mythology around it, but this is just what I believe. But it was like more of this matriarchal society and more of this uh less tangible, less words, more telepathic. We were able to connect with whales and dolphins and all these water creatures and energies, and being able to move and shift through like points in time. So teleportation, all these types of mystical energies. So it's kind of like the energy of the Lemurian moment in time, the story, the legend. And like many of the other stories that I mentioned, Atlantis, Avalon, etc., there was a height of that society and a fall of that society. So a lot of times when we feel connected to these things, we can also have almost like past life fears and memories connected to the fall of these times. And this could be also in any type of historical period. If we were in a point in time where, yeah, maybe the Roman Empire that fell or the any other empire, but we might have these memories and these fears come up that are connected to those points in time. So oftentimes when people begin connecting with Lemurian energy or Atlantean energy or any of these types of past life memories, there might be fears of water that come up, or there might be fears of like tsunamis or some of these more like natural disasters. And of course, it's normal to be fearful of those things, but to a degree that is kind of like confusing and weird. It's like, why are you so terrified of this? So sometimes there are these fears that are embedded in our psyche and our memory. And so if we're open to connecting with these memories, we can also connect with the information and the healing, the insight from those memories, and be able to bring healing to the past where we might have had a experience that was negative. And we can do this with anything. So if you're willing to let things go, that can be something that we can focus on in the next few days with this portal of energy with the full moon, is letting fears go from the past, irrational fears, fears that we don't need. There's no reason for us to have them. We don't necessarily need to dive into why we have those fears. If you want to journal about it, like that's great. But sometimes when we get stuck in the story of, oh, what was Lemuria? What was my fear? What was my past life? That can sometimes hinder us. So don't worry too much about the story. Just be willing to let go of the fears and be willing to, again, tune into the energy of creation that we were talking about earlier and what is possible, what is new. We don't need to get stuck in the past. So let's pull a card. And some of you might have Lemurian guides. There's also some myths and legends about Mount Shasta. Yeah, Mount Shasta, and that in California, which is a couple hours north of me, maybe like 4 or 5 hours. I driven through, but I want to go real bad for like spiritual reasons. But anyway, there's a myth and a legend that the Lemurians, these energies that once existed on Earth, they traveled into the mountain and they exist under the mountain. So whether or not you believe that or subscribe to that story is not important, but I think it's fun to read into it and see like what comes up for yourself. Like it's just the same as reading a fairy tale. So allow these things to guide you, tell you stuff about yourself, allow yourself to learn new things. It doesn't have to be so literal. I believe in a lot of wild stuff, but you don't necessarily have to. It's not literal, doesn't have to be literal. But these are so hard to shuffle because they're giant. So, Spirit, what's the message for us this full moon in Leo? Oh, that's cool. Okay, we got 3 cards. And I will post these again so you can see the images. I did not do that with the new one, like I said I was going to, so I still will, in case you were wondering what the cards look like. So, first card we pulled is the Universe card. These are so beautiful, the images. I love it. So it's this beautiful purple being with blue eyes, and there's a butterflies and golden energy, and there's like some light language and different images coming in with geometric sacred geometry, different shapes. So the universe, it's like almost like this purple being looking down at us, and we are within the stars. We are all connected. So Metatron, wholeness, commune with all life, micro, macro organism. So being reminded that we are just one part of the universe. We are just one part, and we are all connected through this stream of energy, through our DNA, through our blood, through the moments in time. Like we are all connected. And the purple energy really is that like third eye opening, like being able to see beyond, being able to look into the dimensions as we talked about earlier. It doesn't have to be I'm seeing orbs in my house. It could be I just understand more. Everything's a little bit more clear. So be open to the signs and the symbols that come from the universe that are unique for you, and be willing to open up your third eye and be able to see through, again, the dimensions, what is possible. There are not just one version of how you could do something. There's probably 10 versions. So what is possible? Metatron also, the story of Metatron is that he was once human and then he became an angel. So I think that's another thing that we can tune into. Like, it's possible to ascend, and it doesn't have to be this like crazy story of like, well, we only breathe now, we don't eat food, but like ascending to me is really just about like a different level of consciousness, being aware of things that we weren't aware of before, like looking at everything from a bird's eye view and not just looking at it from your own perspective. You're looking at it and being reminded that you are in the macro and the micro. You can look at it from your perspective. You also can look at it from his and hers and theirs and whatever's perspective. You can look at it from the global perspective, the universe perspective, the cosmic God's perspective. Like it's possible to see in beyond just your own desires, but also sometimes we go so far out that we don't even see our own desires. So that's what we are continuing to work on this year, is not being ashamed of your desires. Like the message came up so big and big and big and big last year, and this year again. So don't be ashamed. Shame is a layer of bullshit, basically, but shame is a layer that we can continue to release. Fear is a layer that we can continue to release. And once we don't have to hold on to all this stuff, we can see that, again, we are all connected and we are all together as one wholeness, commune with all life, as the card says. Then we have our cosmic self, this beautiful green energy with purple eyes. Their crown is open. We have that, again, DNA and beautiful speckles of light. Their eyebrows are almost like electric light pulses, is what it looks like. And this is the cosmic self. You are a cosmic being. Stay confident in your truth. Stay confident in your truth. So allow yourself to be celebrated. Allow yourself to share. Allow yourself to be seen. And when you're seen, don't like show up as that version that isn't you. Like allow the true self to be seen and not hide away from how you want to express yourself. And being reminded again that you are not just a human, you are everything. You are all that is and all that has been. We can think about this even scientifically, like no energy can be created or destroyed. So we are all made of literal stardust and all that kind of stuff. So it is cosmic, it is scientific, it is humanity, it is everything. We are all connected. And then I love that we got this one because it's a lion, a purple lion, and there is a goat, I think. Yeah, a lion and a goat. Peace beyond survival. Peacemaker through inner peace, resolving ancient splits. So the goat and the lion. Peace beyond survival. So what I feel with that is like it's not just peace. It doesn't necessarily just mean the lack of violence or the lack of conflict, but it's like the celebration of difference where we can both exist as one. And I watched the Trolls movie, you guys, the other day, and this message was like coming up a lot to celebrate our differences, celebrate our differences. I watched the Trolls movie. First of all, I loved it, but I was like, oh, they have like all these great spiritual messages. And I really feel like it was a reflection of like what's going on in our society and the global society and just like the continuation of war and genocide and all the horrible things that separate us, the politics, all the bullshit. And it's not about just like achieving the peace where we can both just like agree to disagree. It's about beyond that and accepting that we are different, but also knowing that is a point of celebration and of joy and like our cultures are important. That's what the Trolls movie message was, and that's what the psychic messages that need to come up are. That we are all different, but it is beautiful. We don't need to unify in that way where we assimilate and become one in that way. It's like a puzzle. We're all one piece of this giant puzzle, but the puzzle pieces all look different. Have you ever done a puzzle? Every piece looks different. There might be some that look similar, but they all are different, and every single one is important to create the puzzle. So that is something that we need to hold the space and the light for, the possibility of a world that exists where we can all be ourselves. And that's like from the littlest aspect of, oh, you can be like a cool, authentic, like weirdo, but also like the grander aspect of like the bullshit, like we don't have to um conform to a society that isn't willing to allow for any innovation or change. So we want to be able to move into a place where we can all be valued for what we uniquely have. And Leo, full moon, wants us to do that firstly on our inner journey by celebrating who we are and how we got here and everything about us, celebrating the way we look, celebrating our heritage, our ancestry, celebrating our favorite color, our likes, our dislikes, celebrating our job and how we can help people and our career and our art, and celebrating our family and who we are in our relationships, and celebrating this just like uniqueness of the way that our voice is, and like everything on all these different levels and layers. So being able to see beyond how you like separate the different aspects of yourself for like different people or for different situations, and be able to bring in that like roundness, that uniqueness, that connection of all the different parts of you, so that you can be seen as your true whole self. So that's the message. That's the message. I was trying to see if anything else wants to come in. Anything else? Anything else? Eat some broccoli. That's what I'm feeling like. Eat some broccoli, eat some broccolini, maybe a kale salad if you like massage it up. But like these dark kind of like green vegetables, opening up that heart again. But really getting in some green energy into your diet. And I would get some sun. It might be cold where you are, but just like go outside and look at the sun. Get that sun codes, that activation energy. And if it's absolutely frigid freezing where you are, maybe like sit in your car and look at the sun with the heat on or something, but get some sunlight on your eyes. Really pay attention to opening your eyes, and be willing to open again that third eye so that you can see through the dimensions. So it starts with the practical, and then it goes beyond into the esoteric and the spiritual and the astral and all those layers. But start with the practical, stay in the now moment, stay grounded, like Hematite says, and be willing to open your heart to new situations, new experiences, new relationships, and continuing to build the relationships that you do have. Community is vital and important. And we talked about that on the last episode, like rekindling some relationships, and be willing to apologize if you made a mistake in the past. And that could come with family, that could come with friends, but also to yourself. If you did something that you might not be proud of, like be open and willing to let it go. As we mentioned before, we're going to be letting some energy go. So just allow it to move out your heart, out your throat, out your solar plexus. It doesn't have to stay there, and become one and connect with your inner knowing, your intuition. It's all happening already. It's just how can we begin to understand what's coming in, what's coming through. So thank you for listening to this episode of Angel Face Magic Hour. I am your host. If you enjoyed this episode and you're watching on YouTube, give us a comment. Give us a comment. Give us a like, subscribe, all the things. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, give us a rating and review. We love it. We need it. We love it and we need it. Otherwise, send me a message on Instagram. Tell me what you thought. And Tell me how you are connecting to this Leo full moon energy. If these messages resonated, let a girl know. And I love you guys. I'll see you in our next episode. Bye. Bye. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.